Final Destination Bloodlines is the 6th film in the franchise and brings in fresh blood and fresh meat to the franchise in the wood chipper of this iconic supernatural horror franchise. Let's break down this super fun sequel.
What is up, movie friends? I had an absolute blast at Final Destination Bloodlines. I did not have in my bingo card that the 6th film in this franchise was going to be so much fun and over the top, great kills, an actually interesting story. It's not perfect, but man, I was not expecting Final Destination to be in my top 5 of movies of 2025, but here we are, man. I have it sitting at number 5.
Wow, you do. Interesting. It's still early in the year.
I loved
it's
it.
Still May. I don't know if I'd put it in my top 5 right now, but it was pretty enjoyable when it comes to the kills. It wasn't really scary for me from a horror standpoint, but I still think they did a really good job with a unique story, plus some really good twists in the film, which we'll get into in this episode that I did not see coming that worked really well. And overall, you know, it was a fun time. It's a 6th movie in a legacy. It's a legacy sequel, reboot, revival, franchise IP milking. But it is what it is. It's a Final Destination movie. Don't expect Oscars. Expect to just watch a bunch of people get killed in crazy, unique ways, which they were thinking outside the box and got creative with their kills, using things in hospitals, and also in barbecues. The whole teasers they were teasing did a great job getting you excited for the broken glass and the ice, the guy with the nose ring getting stuck on the ceiling fan and the chain. So that marketing campaign was really great for this film. They even had trucks with the logs with posters for the film's release this past week, driving around random highways. So I think the film is a huge hit. You know, by the time this episode airs, we're filming it on Friday. Projected box office is $40 million domestic, which is massive hits. For a big budget horror movie, this is a $50 million budget from New Line Cinema, which is really great. They're investing a ton of money in something they're very confident in being successful. It was directed by Zach Lipovsky and Adam B. Stein, written by Guy Busick and Laurie Evans-Taylor, produced by John Watts, who also came up with the story, you know, from the Spider-Man films. And Rotten Tomatoes, it's sitting really well. Everyone's enjoying this film. 92% critic score and 90% audience score. Everyone's having a good time. 7.2 on IMDb, which is really good for a horror movie in my opinion. And Letterboxd likes it too. 3.4 on Letterboxd. So everyone across the board is enjoying Final Destination's Bloodlines.
I can't believe those numbers. It looks like it's the best reviewed and it will be definitely the most successful. The previous installment in 2009, The Final Destination, was that title. That made $27 million opening weekend. This might actually come closer to 50 with good word of mouth and great reviews. It made 4.5 on its Thursday night previews. So that's an excellent start. The previous film made less than $1 million in its Thursday night previews. So it looks to open big. Warner Brothers are fucking crushing it this year. This is going to be their 6th weekend at number 1 in the box office this year. They are winning 2025 in compared to all the other studios. They're having an excellent year, staying atop the box office with multiple films so far in the first quarter. And I think they're just choosing good projects. And it seems to be like the right directors. Believe it or not, these guys who made this movie previously made a Kim Possible live-action movie.
Yep. Yeah, I looked that up too.
I just, it's ridiculous. I'm like, what? Because I gotta say, the first sequence of this movie, I was so locked in on this opening scene. I think it's one of the best opening scenes of the year. And this is the big tower sequence that's in the trailers. I was so floored by it. I thought it was so well directed, so visually interesting. The sound design was outstanding for this. And this is the premonition scene that every Final Destination movie starts with. The lead character, or in this case, one of the lead characters, has the premonition of a huge mishap, a lot of mayhem, and lots of death, their own death included. And the premonition, after going through that, they stop it, they leave, and in this case, our character saves many other lives, which will tie into the idea of bloodlines. And this tower sequence, I thought it was really dazzling and really good. For this modestly middle-range budget of $50 million, the visual effects, I think, look really good. The set was fantastic, and it was a lot of fun. I thought they directed their ass off, to be honest, and I was like, within a couple minutes, once they got up there, I was like, this is going to be sick. Overall, the strongest sequence of the film by far, most entertaining, great colors, really, really interesting sequence. And they pull no punches. The gore in this movie is insane. Yes, there's a lot of CGI, visual effects, blood, but still, a lot of it looks good. And this movie was brutal. It was insane. This is not for the faint of heart. This is for all the fans who love watching people get killed in weird, crazy ways. Like you said, they thought outside the box and came up with some inventive ways to impale, disarm, burn, flay people. It was crazy, and I was absolutely blown away. And when that sequence ended, I was like, I want more of that.
It was really interesting to watch a horror movie with the filmmaking style of a superhero film, especially with this opening, relying heavily on blue screen, green screen, as well as a ton of CGI, ton of visual effects. I feel like I'd never seen a horror movie on that scale outside of, I guess, sort of It sometimes, but that was really with one character with Pennywise doing the different transformations and things like that. But in terms of a massive green screen soundstage, doing a ton of visual effects in post for a lot of the kills. And almost every kill in this movie is CGI, which, again, you can do crazy things that you can't do practically, which I understand why they're going that direction. But also for me, I wish there was a little more of the practical killing, because I saw Clown in a Cornfield last night, which is, a pretty good horror movie. It was like a very good B slasher. But pretty much every kill in that movie was done practically in camera, which a lot of the kills were awesome. But Final Destination, the majority of them were CGI, so that did take me away from enjoying the gore as much as I normally do in a horror movie. But still, they're doing stuff you can't do practically, which is obviously what they're doing. And they did a good job creeping the audience out. I think the opening was a lot of fun, especially when she's dangling from her ring, and it was nasty with her skin coming off. So stuff like that, just getting really creative, getting really inventive with your kills while using the strength of CGI and visual effects to basically, the world's your oyster with this film. As filmmakers, you can do anything you want with a kill. You can go crazy, go ham, have this destructive tower sequence that lasted, it felt like, about 15 minutes. And I think with this movie, which a lot of legacy sequels and reboots aren't really doing, is what can we make stand out from the past? How can we do things differently? What can we do that's new and fresh? I think having this very long opening sequence of your hero who's going to have the vision almost surviving and fighting tooth and nail to stop her death during the premonition. That it was about 15, 20-minute opening sequence. So I think that was pretty fresh to have such a long sort of vision sequence of survival, as well as mixing some things up with a great twist, two great twists really in this movie. And I think it was a lot of fun. But at the end of the day, it's a Final Destination movie, so there's going to be some campiness, there's going to be some corniness, there's going to be some characters that you're not vibing with, some dialogue that's not working, some dialogue you're just like, oh, like it makes you laugh, but it's not a joke like some of the dialogue. But overall, it's a new idea. Let's have it pass through blood versus just affecting some random person that's going to have a vision of death and try to survive. Real quick before we continue, you see this amazing Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning poster over my right shoulder inside an incredible light box that was provided by our great friends at movieposters.com. Use our coupon code Raiders10 at checkout today to get 10% off your order. And we also have an affiliate link with movieposters.com. In this episode description, there'll be a link for that there, or in our Instagram bio. Just click that link and it'll lead you to our affiliate link where we get commission on every purchase used with that link. So you win, we win, everyone wins. You get an awesome poster like this Final Reckoning inside my incredible movie poster light box. Thanks so much, movieposters.com.
Yeah, and I gotta say, man, I so enjoyed the opening sequence, and it was absolutely bonkers. And it tied to the rest of the narrative, and it was a great take on trying to do something different. Every Final Destination has followed the same formula for the most part, but with this one, I love the idea of an entire family tree being sought after by death, because Iris survives in the opening sequence, and because of her surviving thanks to her premonition, she has stayed alive for decades, understanding that death is hunting her and death is trying to kill her. And man, I loved when she's like talking shit to death and being like, "You think you're smart, huh?" I love that stuff. It was really funny. I thought it worked really well when Death tried to burn the hanging plant with tethered by string, and she's like, "Wait, I see what you're doing." I thought it was great. So I love the smack talk to Death. But the idea that since she survived and continued living and overcame the odds of surviving Death's claws, she had her own family. She had kids, and those kids had kids. So now you have 3 generations of people being hunted by death because none of them were supposed to exist. And I thought that was such a great idea, and it makes total sense. Like, it's not just the people the people who survived the premonition event, but the people who were born after that. I was like, man, this is really fun. I really like this concept. And like you said, they had some really good twists, especially with the family. And I thought it was a really great take. It made it exciting, and it made it as different as you can make a Final Destination movie, if that makes sense. Like, it was different enough where it was like, okay, I don't feel like I'm watching the same movie again.
Yeah, and the family stuff is really interesting, but it's even bigger than that. It's every family that survived that was supposed to die on the tower. Now every family, you can assume, has been getting hunted by death. And I think what Final Destination has always done so well, even when the movies aren't great, is death feels like a real character in the world, in this movie. And death is on the front steps of your door. Death's watching you. Death is scoping out your house. Like, what kind of booby trap can I set for you? I'm going to make you trip over a marble, and then you're going to hit your head on this telephone, and then you're going to get wrapped up in the cord and die. So death's always lingering, always watching. I feel like, though, for me, death felt less of a character in this one than he has in previous films, and the feeling of death wasn't quite there for me. Did you feel that as well, or did you feel like death was strongly in the film in terms of being a presence?
I thought it was enough for me. And you mean in terms of there weren't enough moments of like the booby traps, of the wind, of things moving, object interactions,
I feel like when
things like that.
If you compare it to, I still think Final Destination, the first one's the best one. I think it's just such a great film. And I think
this is the next best one, though.
Yeah, for sure. But what that movie does so well is you feel death everywhere. You feel whether it's in shadows, the wind, and I think they're very patient with death in that film, with making death feel omnipresent and always watching. Whereas this one wasn't so much that. It was more of like things are about to happen and death might be involved, you might not be, but it's a little quicker. And for me, I wish I would have gotten a little more of the ominous feeling of death watching everything in almost in every scenario.
I get that. But for me, I actually thought it was enough, because something they utilized a lot with the cinematography were great Dutch angles.
Yeah.
And moving the camera with a Dutch angle, especially at old Iris's sheltered home. I really like that location. I love the idea of someone holding themselves up for decades, just being aware that of all the ways that death can kill them. And then I loved how when Iris was like, okay, I'll just give up and I'll try to help my family. And she's like, I know this stuff's going to kill me. Let me prove it to you. And within like 10 seconds of stepping out the door, Death's like, I got you, bitch.
I will say, for someone who I guess wants to survive against death, did that home practically seem like a murder house or try to survive home? I understand. The exterior, I get the exterior to an extent. Like, you want to keep people out. You don't want anyone coming there. You don't want any trespassers. You don't want a fucking package from UPS or Amazon. So you have stakes and swords and things everywhere outside the front of your house to ward people off. And you even have spikes on your roof. And it makes sense that, like, that's what she's doing with that motivation. But she also can't step foot outside because anything out there would kill her, just like the fire extinguisher hitting the ground and then hitting the pole right into the back of her head. Did it feel like a bit more like you're gonna die if you live here, or unless you stay inside, you'll be okay?
Well, the thing with the spikes all over the property and the house, it's like you got to think about how death kills people with the booby traps, and things are falling all over. Like if someone gets killed, something falls on one thing, which hits another thing, which then rolls down. So if you think about it, throwing spikes everywhere allows your property to catch things, to prevent things from like you could imagine death like blowing something over and then knocking something onto the roof, which then rolls down the roof and then hits something else, which like breaks through the window. So maybe all those spikes are also to keep people out, but also as a defense mechanism to like catch things that death would try to use as a booby trap.
Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do to hide from death. And no matter where you live, whether you live in that kind of house or in a bubble, at some point, death will get you.
I had one issue. The cast was just like, it's Final Destination horror movie. Outside of a few pretty good characters, everyone else is just like kind of two-dimensional. Did you feel like with the cousins, it felt like they were written as teenagers, but they were all people in their 20s? Does that make sense?
Well, I was wondering, does anyone have a job in this movie? Because so the movie, after the long vision of the 1960s and her survival, which we assume, they don't tell you straight up. Right. They don't tell you straight up that she survived, which is cool, and that it was a premonition, because it just wakes up with her granddaughter in her dorm room with her roommate having these nightmares every night for months. She can't sleep. She's on academic probation. She's in maths, and she goes home to try to find a source for what's happening to her with these dreams. Pretty good setup. She's having these nightmares. She's having the visions her grandmother had back in the 1960s. And she goes home. I would say when it comes to the writing, like one of the things that was bugging me with this movie was the amount of times someone went into a room and they were greeted with big hellos and hugs by people. It happened like 46 times in this movie.
Oh, hey, Steph. Oh, Steph.
My God. So, like,
Steph.
Every 5 minutes, there was one of those moments I'm like, geez, guys, it's okay. Like, she's just home from college. Like, big deal. But also, it's like, everyone's home. Like, does anyone have a job? Maybe it's a weekend and no one's working, but still. But I like the cousins a lot. I think that the character Eric, for me, was the best character in the movie. He was very interesting, very funny, great source of humor, as well as a great catalyst for interesting things to happen. He's the cousin with the tattoos and the piercings, and he also has the great scene where he almost gets killed by death. That was a great tease of marketing inside the tattoo parlor, which was a great, kind of misleading of the filmmakers of, is he death? Is death hunting them? Or is this all just a coincidence that all this crazy stuff happened to him while he's in this tattoo parlor? Because we might as well get into spoiler territory since we're 20 minutes in, because I think the best moment of the movie was when, the granddaughter, sorry, what's her name? Hold on, let me pull it up real quick. Stephanie, when she's kind of telling everyone what's going on, and after a couple deaths happen, and her family's starting to believe her, and she says that Eric's next. They're coming for Eric. Eric should be dead. And then Eric's mom is like, but he's not your father. He's not your blood father. He's like, what do you mean he's not my father? And his mother had an affair. And I think that was my favorite part of the movie, because it was a great twist, a great juxtaposition, and a great sort of curved direction that the Final Destination franchise never has done before. And I thought it was a great bit of humor. But I think that character, Eric, played by Richard Harmon, was really fun, really interesting. Also had probably the most brutal and comical death in the movie, arguably, with the MRI machine with all of his piercings coming from
I think it was the most brutal death.
It was brutal, but it was also very funny because his nipple piercing started poking out of his shirt. Then his dick piercing came out. So I thought the death was brutal. It was very funny. But hands down, for me, Eric was the best character.
Yeah, and when we first met the cousins, I was like, man, this guy is so much different from everyone in his family. I guess you have like the odd one out who doesn't seem like anyone else, but then it makes total sense when you learn that he was adopted. So I thought it was really smart. You have this guy who seems to have nothing in common with anyone else in that family, and it worked out really well. It was a fun twist because I loved the tattoo parlor sequence. I thought it was so fun. I think they did a great job setting up all of these little booby traps with great suspense, great little insert shots all over the place, and a lot of humor. I thought the bobblehead death was great. And they did a great job with transitions because it became kind of a running joke as more people getting killed. It was like, here's another funeral, here's another funeral. And after the dad got killed, Uncle Howard, with the fucking lawnmower on his head, I was like, oh my God.
Oh, man.
It was great. You're right, because this movie has great misdirection where they set it up with the broken ice, and you're like, oh my God, someone's going to drink that ice. And ultimately, nobody drinks the ice. He steps on the glass later in the scene. But they did a great job of just being like, who is going to drink this ice? Also, are they all just drinking? They're all just drinking a glass of water, ice water. That is like the family drink, I guess. They should have made it like a hard lemonade or something because it's still clear and it makes sense that why they all would be drinking it. But it was kind of cringe when they're all 8 of them are cheersing and doing a toast with they all have glasses of ice water. A little cringe, but still whatever.
It felt like it was the same day they were just at the funeral.
Yeah. I feel
like you shouldn't wear Crocs that soon after a funeral.
Yeah, people got over deaths pretty quickly in this movie
because you gotta get the plot moving. I get it.
Yeah, people didn't grieve for very long, but there was great comedy after Uncle Howard brutally is destroyed by that lawnmower. It cuts to a spinning pinwheel in the cemetery of a pinwheel, and then it cuts to them in the funeral. I thought it was like that honestly made me cackle out in the theater. I thought it was like a great shot, lots of great little humorous moments like that. Things like the penny. I thought the penny was really funny.
Yeah, it was sort of like this motif where the penny was kind of, I guess for me, penny was the personification of death for a lot of things. Like that was death traveling the world and killing everyone in his elaborate plans, because the penny was traversing a lot of stuff, and it was traveling from the opening of the movie all the way to the present day, the same penny. So I think that was really interesting that the penny kind of for me represented death.
Also, I feel bad, but I laughed when a kid got killed. When that kid, because he was like the asshole in the entire event, pushing people out of his way. And
there are kids really like that too. Like I knew kids like that when I was a kid, and I always hated bullies like that. Those kids.
So
exist.
This kid, he caused the entire thing, throwing the pennies out the awning of the upstairs, the roof, and then one of the pennies. I loved it. He throws the penny, it gets caught in the draft of the vents, gets sucked in, stops the fan, breaks the fan, and then this little penny was part of causing all this destruction. And then when the shit's hitting the fan and everyone's trying to escape, he's like that guy in Train to Busan. He gets everyone killed out of his own selfishness, and then when he makes it down. He makes it to the ground, and he steps outside. He's like, "Yes, I survived." And then the piano falls on him. I was like, I can't believe I laughed, but oh man, it was funny.
Yeah, but it's great because then that penny is the reason why the piano tips over and falls down because the fraction of weight it adds. So I felt like death was the penny in this movie, which was a lot of fun. And the kills were brutal. They were really interesting. But I think one of the great parts of the film and one of the best scenes is Tony Todd reprising his role as William Bloodworth in this film. Now, he signed on to this movie in September 2023, and Tony Todd died in November 2024 of stomach cancer. He signed on knowing he's dying, and he didn't have a lot of time left. And you could obviously see that in his performance. His voice is amazing. He's still got great energy, but he's clearly very frail, very emaciated. He's very thin in the film because he's, literally knocking on death's door, basically. And I think it was a very heartwarming and special moment because he got to basically say goodbye to the world in a movie, which not every actor gets that opportunity or even maybe wants that opportunity. But I think that was a really special moment in the film. plus his monologue, he's there to basically give the wisdom and exposition of what's happening. He's basically saying how to survive death. You can either all die or kill somebody, or you can die and get brought back to life, and that way it will skip you. So he's giving them the rules of the game. Yeah, every horror movie, you kind of need someone to give the rules. He's the Randy from Scream. And I think his monologue was really great because he's also talking about life and how precious it is, and every day is a blessing. Basically, every minute is so lucky to have, and to live life to the fullest. You know what? Fuck it. Just go live life. Be happy. Things could be worse, but at the end of the day, you're alive and you're well, and life is worth living. So it was a really special monologue right before he exits the coronary room.
Yeah, it worked really well. And it was a pretty empty theater. I think there were like 10 people in my theater, but you could hear everybody. I heard a bunch of whispers when he came on screen. And I've read that in packed theaters, people are giving him rounds of applause when he shows up on screen.
Mine was a round of applause. Yeah, I saw it at IMAX headquarters.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, how was it in IMAX? Because I saw
it was awesome.
I didn't get to see it in IMAX, but how was it on the big screen, like the giant screen?
It looked really great, but I think for me, from a production standpoint, the sound of this movie was excellent. It's up there with Warfare, one of the best sounding movies of the year. The sound mix is really great, but also the sound effects with everything that's going on, because it's a really interesting movie to do sound for and sound design. I mean, you're killing so many different people, so you not only are using different things like crashing pianos on the ground and also doing crazy stuff, but bone crunching and blood and all these different cool sounds that you're creating for your film with the mix was great, but also creating the ambience, the mood of death following you and death trying to kill you. I think that the ambience was great, but overall, the movie sounded great in the IMAX theater, but also spoiled by seeing it in one of the best theaters, honestly, in California at their headquarters. It's always great every time, but I enjoyed the heck out of the IMAX experience for sure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the sound mix in the opening tower sequence, especially when the songs being played, shouts being played by the band, and people are jumping on the glass, and you're just hearing things breaking. You're hearing the glass cracking. You're hearing the flames. There's so many aspects to the design of that entire collapse that it sounded fantastic, and I love the structural collapse as well. Like, as it kept getting destroyed further and further, the entire building and tower, I was like, Jesus, they're really going for it on this. And I love the shot of when she saves little Tony Todd, and they're dangling from the ledge, and behind them, it's an overhead shot, and behind them, the entire structure of the Tower restaurant crashes to the earth behind them. Like, there's no cutaway to the structure hitting the earth. It was all in the shot behind them. And I was like, we need more lengthy shots like that, because it has a lot of impact. And when you see the characters in the foreground and then you see that immense destruction behind them in the background, it has so much more power to it rather than doing just a cutaway of the building on its own. I really love that shot. And I wasn't expecting to see like really good cinematography in this movie. I'm surprised. And then another shot of background action that was also an incredible joke was when Steph and her brother are trying to convince Eric that he's next in line for death. He survived the tattoo parlor accident and fire. He's got the heart branded on him. Really funny. And as an audience member, I'm like, why the fuck didn't he die? And this is before we find out he was adopted.
No, he's an affair.
Affair. I'm sorry, not direct blood relative. And then Steph and him and her brother are arguing with him, and they stop. And then he starts messing around with the garbage truck. He's like dry humping it. He licks it. He's like, "What's gonna happen? Nothing's gonna happen." And I was like, we're having a lot of fun with this. But then it cuts to a reverse after his sister came out for a run, and they're like, I'm sick of your trash, Steph. And then she goes in the background for a jog. And then Eric and Steph are in the foreground. It's a profile 2-shot and plenty of space in the background for us to see the sister continuing on. And when Eric and Steph are arguing and they didn't cut away, when directors and editors are not cutting for it. You can tell it for certain reasons. Once that shot held for like a good 5 seconds, I was like, oh shit. All of the little clues that Steph pointed out earlier, the little garden tool, the kids playing basketball, the
Soccer.
leaf blower, the soccer. I was like, oh my God. And they kept holding the shot, and we kept seeing her running further away. And then suddenly all the things, the entire pattern of events of the booby trap that Steph was trying to figure out could happen. It all happens. It all plays out behind us. And they didn't cut to that. They kept it all in the background. And then she gets scooped up by the garbage bin and put into the garbage truck. It was both hilarious and terrifying at the same time. And it was another instance of background action that was used really well. In so many modern films, they use so many shots, so many edits, so many cutaways. They feel like you have to get coverage of everything. But you know what? It was like that scene worked really well because holding on that shot and seeing all of that action take place in the background, that's where the comedy came in.
And that was a brutal kill. When her
that was my favorite kill.
The bottom of her skull gets crushed by the garbage compactor. Oh my goodness. That was hardcore. This movie's hardcore and didn't hold back punches. And again, I want to talk more about Tony Todd and why it's important to bring his character back to this film with Bloodworth. But before we do that, let's run to our intermission. We'll have some fun. Then we'll come back and talk more about Final Destination Bloodlines. And before we continue, the best way to support our show, as you know, is to become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. You get access to the ad-free version of every single episode with no commercial breaks. You get access to weekly bonus episodes, plus our Discord. We have 5 different tiers of membership. Find out which one's best for you in your budget, but for as little as $10 for an annual pass, you can be a member of our Patreon for a whole year. Leaving those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts is also integral to us. Those ratings help us get seen by new people. They help us rank on podcast charts and platforms. New people can discover us with the more ratings we have. Plus, I love to read out written reviews from Apple Podcasts to immortalize somebody forever on the show. Subscribe on YouTube, of course. Super helpful for us to get more and more subs on that platform. Leave comments, likes, shares on everything. Our Instagram account is huge for us, so everyone who follows us, leaves comments, shares us in your stories, thank you so much. That's so helpful for our engagement. TikTok as well. And besides that, just share episodes with your family and friends. Anyone you know who loves movies, who likes Final Destination or likes horror, send them this episode of Final Destination Bloodlines.
Look at that amazing poster of Tom Cruise behind you, James. It's backlit. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. You got that. Thanks to our friends over at movieposters.com, the #1 place to get all of your posters online. They have an amazing coupon code with us. Raiders10 will always get you 10% off your orders, as well as an affiliate link for us to get a little cut of the action and a link in the description of this episode and in our social media bio. So be sure to use both those things because you got to get all of your posters at movieposters.com. They have your favorite Hollywood blockbusters from Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning to Sinners to Thunderbolts to your favorite Hollywood classics from the 90s, 70s, 60s, 40s, whatever, as well as really cool alternate prints designed by talented artists and a ton of international posters of your favorite foreign films, as well as really rare and collectible items like original lobby cards, original poster prints of many of your favorite classic films from Hollywood and around the world. The best place for all of your posters, high quality, amazing prices, beautiful prints. Movieposters.com. Use it for all of your poster needs. Use the coupon Raiders10, the affiliate link in the description. Save some money, get us a little cut. Everybody wins.
Oh yeah. All right,
Winning.
let's get into our intermission and start with our movie quote competition. Are you ready?
Ready.
Every man dies, but not every man lives.
Man, I know it's a movie I've seen a lot. I can't remember.
Braveheart.
Good one. Good one. All right, mine is a couple of characters, 3 characters talking. All right, ready? A lot of you have been hearing the affiliates complaining about a lack of diversity on the news team. What in the hell is diversity? Well, I could be wrong, but I believe diversity is an old wooden ship that was used during the Civil War era.
Santiago.
Santiago.
Anchorman, baby. That's great.
That's such a good line.
Funny stuff. Guess this movie released here, Anthony. The Big Lebowski.
1994.
98.
98. Wow. What year did Anchorman come out?
2004.
Well done.
Nice.
He's 2 for 2, guys. He's 2 for 2.
I know my Anchorman. God damn it! Who put that question mark in there?
Go
I'm Ron
fuck yourselves.
Okay. Movie pop quiz time. I got a good one for you. What is the first and only X-rated movie to win Best Picture at the Academy Awards? It was eventually changed to R, but it was originally an X-rated movie.
Midnight Cowboy.
Nice job, man. Nice job. I thought I'd
Thanks.
get you
Good
with
question.
That. Thanks.
Uh-uh.
I'm walking here. I'm walking here.
All right. My final quiz question. How many Emmys did Steve Carell win for The Office?
0.
Correct! Trick question. He did not receive any awards at all in major awards for his work on The Office.
I know that, man. That's something that that always bugged me.
He won nothing. Nothing significant. That's crazy to me. It's crazy.
Is absolutely insane.
Doesn't make any sense.
I guess maybe because it's an offensive show, but it's like one of those things. It's like he's so good that I guess people didn't want to give it to him.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, time for some unsubscribe.
Was he even
guys.
nominated?
He was nominated like 4 times, not every year.
6 times he was nominated.
He was also nominated as a producer, though. I think 4 times for acting.
Oh, hold on, yeah, boom, boom, boom. No, six times for acting for The Office.
For acting?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to some unsubscribes. If you guys want to ever fact check us, bust our balls, or just have a little fun, make a really fun unsubscribe comment on the internet anywhere, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, whatever. We'll find them and we'll read them on the show because they're always a lot of fun. All right. Let's talk about Salmon Salve. The hubris of humanity? Is that Shakespeare? We were talking about Jurassic Park. Sure hope the new movie is good. Prove to me you can't front kick a pterodactyl or I will unsubscribe.
Might as well just see if we can kick a dumpster.
All right, next up, Landon on Letterboxd recap. I guess since he was probably jet lagged, I can give Anthony a pass and not unsubscribe. But he once again forgot to read my top 4, even though he keeps telling me he'll put it in the top 4. At this point, I'd be fine with him reading it when he reads this comment on the show. I got you in this previous episode. Make sure you listen, Landon. So sorry again for skipping you for like 16 weeks. Legal Truth. Just wanted to say I have mad respect for how far this one man has come. Can't fool me. It's just one man in a mirror making this. Unsubscribed.
It's complicated, but I do a good job. Thanks.
It's a lot of work.
It's actually mocap.
Right.
Anthony is played by this actor,
Andy Serkis.
Yeah, Andy Serkis. And so then every episode we're doing visual effects with Imaginarium and ILM, and they facial capture me onto Andy Serkis's body and face.
Andy has committed a lot of his time to this show.
Yeah, it's his number one thing. Really,
that's why he stopped making apes movies.
That's why Hunt for Gollum's been so delayed. His Raiders of the Lost podcast takes up a lot of time for him.
All right, next up, Aaron Walker on Movie Chat. Apparently, I'm watching your podcast and talking about you too much because my girlfriend has started referring to you guys as my boyfriends and accusing me of loving you guys more than her.
Well, I mean, if it's true, it's no big deal. But I mean,
unfortunately for the sake of my relationship, I'll have to unsubscribe. Whispers. Don't worry, I'm not actually unsubscribing. Just making her think I am. Film boy for life. P.S. Love you. Gerard. Hashtag Gerard Butler.
Oh my God.
Hashtag Gerard Butler indeed.
Thanks, Gerard Butler. Hey, you know what? At least she knows. At least you're honest with her. It's like those memes. It's like he's probably thinking about other girls. It's like he's just like listening to Raiders of a Lost podcast.
All right, next up, Cole Brown. It's Ape Lincoln, not Abe Lincoln, talking about the end of Planet of the Apes. Therefore, I must unsubscribe, then resubscribe because you guys are truly the greatest podcast I've ever listened to, and you guys help me get through some tough days, whether it be getting through work or the days or the weight of just being an adult. I feel that, man. Whenever a podcast drops, folks, you best believe Anthony James will bring a smile to your face. Aw, thanks, Cole.
Cole, appreciate it. There is a lot of weight with being adult. I get it. I'm happy we can help get you through it because we all have ups and downs, so thanks, Cole.
Next up, Braden on Movie News last week. Superman's Dojo, Bachelor Pad, and comparing it to the Batcave. Silent and disappointed, unsubscribe.
This was all Anthony. Don't worry, I got him, guys. But like when he was saying that, I was offended. I got offended.
I couldn't for the life of me think of the name of it. I couldn't remember it.
But still, Bachelor Pad, get out of here, man.
Hey, it's a cool Bachelor Pad. We have one more unsubscribe today from Breck Fox. Breakfast Breck Fox. you know Breck Fox. All right. I was going to suggest doing a best movie plot twist episode a few weeks ago, but refrained from messaging you two because of all the spoilers that would come from it. The fact that you guys shortly did it after it on your own crossed my mind is causing me to unsubscribe. P.S. Nothing was spoiled though because I appreciate the timestamps. You're welcome, man. Timestamps for life. Timestamps are very helpful for episodes like that.
Yeah, but we also did give a warning. And also it's like the episode title for other people who maybe didn't realize what it was going to be about. Of course it's going to spoil stuff. We're talking about twists.
Yeah.
That was a fun episode.
What
but
a twist.
Clearly we're linked up, man.
Oh, yeah. Big time. That's it for unsubscribes today. Thanks to everybody. They're always really funny, and we love being fact-checked and just being teased.
We have a great 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts from Cooper, C Money, Benjamin, 5 stars, Raiders of the Lost Podcast, Origins. Hey, it's me again.
Origins.
You know, movies are great and all, but can we get an episode on y'all's personal lives? I'm waiting for an Origins episode where you break down how y'all got into the film world. Unsubscribe until that happens. Oh, that'd be an interesting episode. A personal lives
Deveney
episode.
brothers, rise.
Yeah,
light it up.
Maybe we could figure something out like that, Cooper.
That'd be fun.
But
we
it's
did
like
a day in the life once.
It's like one of those things where you don't want too much of your personal life out there, if that makes sense. But I think we do plenty of it. It's like that J. Cole quote from, I can't remember the song, where they know you better than you know yourself. It's like, do you want that to happen? But it's also, I'd be happy to talk about a good amount of my personal life.
Well, you're cool. You listen to J. Cole.
Just dropping those quotes out of nowhere. Know me better than I know myself. Anyways, Anthony, what's your streaming recommendation?
Black Bag is on Amazon Prime. Probably, it might be still my favorite movie of the year.
Favorite movie of the year? Do you have?
I love
since you put Found Destination number 5. Do you have like the rest of your list made out? Black
Bag, Sinners, something, Final Destination.
Mickey.
Oh, hold on. Let me pull
Mickey.
up Letterboxd.
Mickey 17.
You know how I forget what comes out this year. Mickey 17's up there, yeah. What's been out this year that's on my Letterboxd logs? Okay, I'll rack through it real quick. What do we got? So I would say, yeah. So I got Black Bag, Warfare, Sinners, top 3, and then I would put. Oh man, I really like The Gorge, Mickey 17. And then Fountain of Youth. I like Fountain of Youth. So Final Destination 6. Then Thunderbolts.
So you're a liar.
Hey, 6 is pretty close to 5.
It is pretty close.
I also forgot that Mickey came out.
Well, so you got The Gorge at 7?
Yeah, Gorge at 7. But I really like The Gorge. I think there have been some pretty good movies this spring, I gotta say. It's pretty good movies. The Gorge was fun. And Fountain of Youth, man. I watched Fountain of Youth last night. We got the early screener from Apple. No lie, that movie was so much fun. Old swashbuckling adventure, tomb raiding, traveling the world, car chases, flirting. It was a lot of fun. I really liked Fountain of Youth. It was just like I felt like I was watching a cousin of National Treasure or Indy or The Mummy.
I guess if I had to do a top 5 list as well, I'm probably going Sinners, Warfare, Mickey 17, Magazine Dreams, oh man, tough pick. Black Bag, and then I really enjoyed Companion, so I might put Companion at 5. But also, Fountain of Youth was great. So, Fountain of Youth, number 5.
Yeah, it was great.
But yeah, you still
really good.
You still haven't seen Magazine Dreams, man. That might that would be a movie I think could be your favorite movie of the year.
Good, check it out. I wonder if I must be able to rent it by now.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
They must. Yeah. Maybe I'll watch it soon.
Well, anyways, back to streaming recommendations. Mine for this episode is going to be. Let me pull it up. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is on Peacock or Hulu. Aw. He says aw. All right, let's get back into Final Destination Bloodlines and talk about William Bloodworth, Tony Todd's return and final screen appearance before his passing. Now, Bloodworth is in multiple Destination movies. He's in the first film, of course, the original. He's in the second film and in the fifth film. But also, he voices Death, I believe, in the third film. So he's an integral part to the legacy of Final Destination. And I think a cohesive connective tissue for this movie connecting with the previous films. And I think this movie does a good job connecting those films outside of Bloodworth as well. So you have a returning character, a presence that's really important for the diehard Final Destination fans out there, which there are plenty of. But also Iris's journal or diary of her own investigations in her own death book in a way, where we have great nods to the airplane from the first film, Flight 180, as well as even a sketch of the log truck from second film, or is it the third? I think it's the second film that does the log on the truck. So she's creating, it seems like she's been tracking possible instances of death's interference in people's lives where people had visions or escaped death, but then were hunted. So it's really interesting. And I wouldn't be surprised. And also, I'm kind of surprised they didn't bring Ali Lauder back for this film since she's so integral to those previous films as well. But I can't remember if she's dead or not in the franchise. I've never seen past 3, so bear with me. I don't know if she's dead or not in the franchise, but I could have seen her coming back if she's still alive in the IP. But she's probably dead.
I didn't see 4 and 5, so I don't know if she was even in them or if she continued her role or anything. So, yeah, I wasn't sure either. But I think they set up the ability to do obviously a lot more. And I gotta say, this had a really fun ending. This ending reminded me of Drag Me to Hell, where you think that your heroes saved the day, or in this case survived, because they set it up with this great detail of, and I was worried that this movie was gonna do something similar to Smile 2 of stopping your heart and then resuscitating you, and that was her plan in Smile 2 to get rid of the demon. And I was like, oh man, I hope they don't flatline them and then resuscitate her. Because Smile just did that. Smile 2 just did that recently.
Luckily,
it didn't. Yeah, kind of did it. Yeah. And luckily they didn't do that. It was really smart, really fun climax at the end at Iris's bunker, and obviously pulling no punches again. Their mom's brutally killed after she's like, I'm gonna do whatever I can to survive for as long as possible. Boom! I think this film had a lot of fun pulling the carpet out from under the audience multiple times. That's a great instance of like she gives like a hero line, and then she gets killed. Really great. And then the brother saves Steph after she drowns, and gives her CPR, and she comes back to life. And this is where it was like they wisely borrowed from Drag Me to Hell's outstanding final 10 minutes, where it's graduation. I mean, it's prom day. They're happy. He's in his tux, and things are okay. It's light. It's playful. We survived death. We can actually finally relax and let out a sigh of relief for the first time in a long time. And then they meet his girlfriend's dad, who's a doctor. And it's like, oh, I heard, and they bring up how he saved Steph's life and when she drowned. And she's like, yeah, it brought me back from the dead. And he goes,
yeah, kind of.
Sure.
Kind of. I guess. Not really.
I guess. I mean, technically no, but and then I was like, yes.
Your heart didn't stop.
When he had that, I was like, yes. I was like, what's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? And then the penny, the old, because also they set up, the old woman picked up that penny on the parking lot pavement, put it in her little purse. I was like, that penny's coming into play again. We're gonna see that thing again. We're gonna see that little copper menace eventually. And then she's at the little lemonade stand nearby, buys a little lemonade, drops the penny. It rolls down those stone steps, and it was like I was laughing. I was like, oh my god, like pennies don't move like this. But I was like, I don't even give a fuck. This is funny. This is great. Well, I was just like, what's it? Part of what I love about these sequences is like, what's it gonna be? What's the setup gonna be of this booby trap? And then the coin lands in the tracks and prevents the tracks from clipping. And you're like, oh shit, the train, man. There's gonna be a train. And then, oh my god, it was so fun. She's like, oh shit, we gotta go. The train fucking breaks off the tracks and careens through the neighborhood, pulverizing houses and pavement, and they're running away, running. This entire giant machine of mayhem behind them. And Steph falls, but the train stops. Oh, thank God. Okay, we survived it. That was a close one. Nope. The fucking giant telephone poles break out and smush both of them. Cut to credits. I was like, that's how you end the movie. That's a great way to end the movie.
Yeah, it's a callback to the logs in Final Destination 2. And also, it's sort of this, I think it leaves people with mixed feelings at the end of the movie, because everyone dies. At the end of the day, you can't escape death. And I think that's the point of the ending, is death's going to get you. Everyone dies. And even with the old legacy characters, or even Iris or Bloodworth, death's getting you with cancer, You're not going to survive. He'll get you either way. And so I think that's one of the fun things about the movie is it's futile to try to stop death, because he's going to get you. At some point, you can't hide forever. Death will always be waiting. Death will always be watching and looking for an end, looking for you to drop your guard, which is why Iris survived so long, as she kept her guard up forever and only died to prove to her granddaughter that death was after their family. So it leaves you with a satisfying situation where, I love how death killed everybody, but also it's like, what was the point if everyone dies? But that is the point. I think it's futile, and death will kill everyone. No one can escape death. That's the big plot for me.
I wouldn't have been happy with an ending where the lead survived. I wouldn't have liked the ending.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, the whole point is you can't escape death. It's inevitable.
Well, the first film,
characters have escaped death in the past. I know, I get that, but I wouldn't have liked it if these characters survived. I was like, let's end it. Let's not set up a lead character for a franchise. Let's just do it fresh slate. Kill them all.
I think that's the move because I think one of the downsides to a lot of horror reboot IPs is continuing with new characters that become the new leads. With Final Destination, it's sort of an IP and a franchise where you can wipe the slate clean every time. And so every movie, you can do anything. You can go anywhere. It doesn't have to be continuously with one character forever. It also saves you money so that you don't have to, I guess, have a franchise starring lead that is going to eat into budget eventually once the movies get very successful, which is fine. I understand that. But I think that with Final Destination, it works best with new characters almost every single time.
And they could do something fun and go really big in scope with the next one.
They will.
We had the tower event in this film, but we only saw one strand of the remnants of the survivors from that entire sequence. I think it could be fun if you really want to shake things up. If you want to do something really different and get audiences excited, because everyone's enjoying this film, so everybody's curious about this franchise still. It's going to be the most successful one, so the appetite's there. Why not just go really big and make another giant event one, and we can see death trying to take out like an entire fucking city or something, and you can make the booby traps huge in scale and really, really large in scope. I think you could have a lot of fun. It would be hard to pull off narratively, but I think that going forward, that could be a fun way to shake it up even more and try to, push the franchise and the format of what this movie is a little further.
And I'm curious if they'll, in the future films, sort of connect even more of the movies from the past. I think it would be really interesting to basically connect the next film to the original more strongly, and maybe to those characters who are dead now. Who knows? It'd be really interesting. And what's fun about these movies is you can kind of film it in different ways and then make it in the edit, because I've seen clips online where the mother, there's some stuff in this movie where it's like, this makes no sense. Like they're going to the hospital, but the only way to enter the hospital is through a spinning door.
Your revolving door, yeah.
Yeah, what they don't have an automatic door to get into a hospital? Like what?
How does someone with a wheelchair get in?
So like that stuff, like it makes no sense to me. It's just to set up a creepy moment of like, is he gonna die when he goes in there? There is a deleted sequence where their mom, Stephanie's mother, gets stuck in that and gets, I think, killed or attacked by death.
Oh, so they used it.
But they cut it from the movie.
Okay.
Because nothing happens with the revolving door in the movie, but there is a version in the deleted scene of her getting attacked by death with like a chain in it.
That's why we never see her again. She kind of that makes sense because she kind of disappears from the narrative after that.
Well, until the end.
She's in the end?
She's with the kid, with her daughter and son.
Oh yeah.
No, she's around. She's in the hospital. I think it's just, right. I don't think she died, but I think it was a sequence where death almost killed her.
Oh, like the tattoo parlor.
Yeah. So I think it's just something they cut, maybe for time or maybe for more of a mystery of who death's going after. But the movie still had really good kills. I think the MRI sequence is still the standout kill for me. It was really creative. It was at times hard to believe, like, can this MRI machine in a hospital really get that much power to be able to pull metal that strongly? Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about MRI machines, so I bought it. It is what it is. But also with the cousin with the peanut allergy, it was a terrible plan for Eric and Bobby to come up with, but at the end of the day, they're like desperate. Like Eric's so like convincing, like he convinces Bobby, like, yeah, you're gonna die, I'll bring you back to life. It's the only way to do this. But I thought it was fun. But also, I was anticipating when he took a bite of the peanut butter cup for him to be so exacerbated by how delicious it is for if he'd never had one before. So I thought that was a really good bit of humor. He's like, "Oh my god, this is so good." It's like,
yeah.
Can
I
you
also
imagine
love
never
them
having one.
Yeah. I also love them carefully walking outside, and he's just like super scared, and they're moving slowly. I thought it was really funny, and I thought when he was eating the peanut butter cup and it was the delayed reaction, I was like, oh, maybe it's all artificial peanuts, and it wasn't even
That'd be
that's
funny.
what I thought was gonna happen, but it did end up happening, and he did get the allergic reaction. And I think that sequence was insane and really strong, and I love how it connected to Eric messing with the vending machine earlier and breaking it, which so everything from that moment on was part of Death's booby trap plan. Take both of them out, and I love the idea of when you fuck with Death, things get messy. So even people who aren't on Death's kill list originally, if they're trying to get in the way of his plans, he'll take them out in just the same way, because they showed multiple times that Eric seemed to be safe no matter what, and so I didn't expect him to get killed in the hospital. All my attention was on Bobby getting killed, and so him getting killed first was really surprising and a lot of fun. But I gotta say, I think there were some really great kills in this movie. Honestly, the one that was jaw-dropping for me was the garbage truck, with the sister in the garbage truck and her skull getting basically cut in half by the pressurized mechanized crusher inside the garbage truck. I had never seen anything like that in a film before, and I think that was really interesting and really disturbing. That one made me go like, holy fuck, that was crazy.
Death does a good job. This movie subverts expectations. Death clearly toys with its victims, gives them false hope, thinking they can beat death or they can escape it, they can outlive it. Where at the end of the day, maybe this was all Death's plan, was for this point. This is the time when he's going to come after these families. Obviously, Iris seems to be able to hold off Death as long as she can, but once she's gone, it's just open season. It's hunting season now, baby, and Death's going to come for everyone.
Yeah, I really liked it, and I thought it was a fun ending. They used so much budget on the first act with that opening sequence that they couldn't do something massive for the finale, but I think they did something that was really fun. Flipping the truck was great. Awesome practical work on that sequence. It looked really good, very impactful. So even though there was heavy CGI in the film, there was some good practical elements like that RV flip.
Yeah, and I mean, the ending felt a bit rushed before the deaths at the prom sequence, but I think the ending overall of the plot with trying to survive against death was a little rushed, and, there was a few moments of quite a bit of lull here and there where, once there was too much dialogue, it wasn't really working, and, it was getting a little sleepy, but once death's taken over and deaths are happening, it gets really exciting again.
Yeah, my reaction to it was once people started talking for longer than a minute, the film wasn't good. It's just the dialogue's just none of the dialogue is good at all in this movie, but it does come alive when it's all action and it's all death coming into play. So that it really works dynamically with the filmmaking, but the narrative and mostly what people are saying, it could be cringe at times, but overall, it was way better than I was expecting. Yeah, I was not expecting much.
Lebowski and Stein did a great job with this movie. Like you said, they directed their asses off, and I wasn't expecting it to be this big and bold, but I think they really swung for the fences and really delivered it, and it's going to pay off, and they're going to make a boatload of money with this movie, and expect this week, as its release is coming out, a sequel to get greenlit, and it's probably already been in development, but, this is tracking to demolish at the box office, probably take the top spot, and, kudos to them and New Line Cinema. It seems like they got a new franchise hit on their hands with the resurgence of Final Destination.
Don't you just love seeing the New Line logo?
It was so cool. It's with the opening.
It brings me back to being a kid. Because they were such a big studio.
They don't produce as many movies as I feel like they used to. They Definitely still do. Not. Shazam movies was the last franchise that they were doing. They did the It movies. But they do The Conjuring. So it seems like I haven't seen that logo in a while because I haven't seen the Shazam movies.
You don't need to. But man, because we saw so many movies, New Line made so many movies when we were kids, so we saw that logo all the time. And
They
so
did
it's
Black
always
Adam
it's
too.
Okay, whenever, because they made a deal with Warner Brothers, like 10 years ago. So they've been, I think when the Legendary deal stopped, they started working with Warner Brothers, and took kind of fill that place that Legendary had with WB for the 2000s and 2010s. But man, I it's like when I see that logo, it really brings me back to being like a little teenager watching horror movies. And then also same thing with Scream with like the Dimension Films logo.
Yeah.
There's a couple of production studios from the 90s and 2000s that I love seeing every once in a while, and it's just always like, oh my god, it's Indian Paintbrush.
Yeah. Touchstone. But I think with New Line, because it's so connected with horror, everyone I think of Lord of the Rings often with New Line, but still, I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street, Evil Dead, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, they were the horror production studio for so many big franchises, and it's cool to see them getting back into it. Final Destination, which they produce all the other movies, but there hasn't been a Final Destination movie in 14 years.
Yeah, I think that it was a long gap between an entire generation. So, you know what? I don't care about this legacy sequel. We're obviously getting so many of them, and at the end of the day, since we're getting so many legacy sequels and so many remakes and so many reboots, that's inevitable. They're all happening. If they're good, you know what? I think overall it's a good thing when they're well done, when they're made with a lot of care by the filmmakers, when audiences like them. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. When theaters are making money, when studios are making money, it's just great for the industry. And yes, it's not a fresh idea, but this is where we are in Hollywood right now. So it's better than New Line going bankrupt. You know what I mean?
Good point. That's the alternative, or selling to Amazon or something.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning into this episode on Final Destination Bloodlines, everybody. Be sure to become a patron today, patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. Use our coupon code Raiders10 at checkout from movieposters.com with our affiliate link. And take care, everybody.
See you next time.
This episode was brought to you by our chosen one patrons, Jacob Kossler and Nicholas Martin. Thanks so much, boys. Raiders of the Lost Podcast is a mirror image production. Sound mixing done by Jacob Kossler. Opening music by Chase Jackson.